Top story, more roller coaster closures at theme parks owned by Merlin Entertainment. Joining us from central London is the company's chief executive, Nick Varney. Mr. Varney, thank you for joining us on Sky News this afternoon. My goodness, what a few days you've had. What is the latest?
Well, obviously, since the tragic accident on Tuesday, we've been focused really on two main things. First and foremost, we've been doing everything we can to help and support those that were on the ride, particularly the 4 young people who were seriously injured and their families, and our thoughts are obviously still with them. We've also been doing a lot of work on the causes of the ride accident. We have the Health and Safety Executive also pursuing their own inquiries on site. And, at this moment, we still don't have a definite conclusion. We think that a rather unique set of circumstances have played a contributory factor in the Smiler accident, but obviously we've looked at all of the similar rides that are multi-car roller coasters across the group just to make sure that there's nothing that we've been missing. And we have very stringent safety protocols and standards. It is our number one priority, but we've had an accident, and one accident is one too many.
Okay.
So what we have done,
these rides at the other places as well, Chessington World of Adventures and Thorpe Park, you've closed rides there as well. Those potentially were just accidents waiting to happen too?
No, not at all. We are satisfied that the procedures that we have on all of our rides are safe. I think what we have done today...
Let me just interrupt you there, if I may. If you're happy that they were safe, why were people seriously injured?
Well, obviously, we have had an accident on Smiler, and we need to understand that. And, it is something that we are feeling dreadful about. And as I've said already, one accident is an accident too many. But we're looking at our safety procedures. We have not had an accident like this before. And we have entertained hundreds of millions of people at our parks very safely. But I keep coming back to it. We never want something like this to happen again. And what we have done today is put in another level of additional safety measures across all of our parks that operate these types of rides. And all of them, bar 2, have been able to implement those new procedures today. The 2 rides at Chessington that are currently suspended will take a few days before we can make the technical and training adjustments to bring them up to that new additional level of safety protocol. That does not mean that they were unsafe before.
But your safety the only other ride,
just to finish, the only other ride that...
If I might just interrupt, because obviously it's an interview and rather than just a statement. Given that you have to put other safety protocols into place, then obviously they weren't safe enough to start with.
I don't think that's true. I think we have had very rigorous safety protocols across all of our attractions. As I've said, we have entertained hundreds of millions of people to our parks over the years very safely. We have had the first and I hope only ever major accident in one of our theme parks. We have to be doing things to make sure that that never happens again. It is just fundamental to what we do, and as I've said, we're just putting another layer on top of what were already very extensive safety protocols, and the news that is out there that we're shutting rides is a little bit overstated. Thorpe Park is shut because it's a similar ride to Smiler, and we think that's the right thing to do.
Smiler is being dismantled as we speak, isn't it?
There is work going on Smiler so that the Health and Safety Executive can examine those parts of the ride that they need to look at.
And what does that involve?
Well, I would imagine that they are looking at removing the cars from the track.
Don't you know?
The whole site has been taken over, I think quite rightly, by the Health and Safety Executive, who are legally mandated to undertake an objective and independent investigation into accidents like this.
OK, so if they've taken over the whole site and they're not at the other sites, how do you know what to do at the other sites with the other rides? Why have you particularly focused on those other rides if you haven't been told by the Health and Safety Executive to do that?
Because basically SAW is made by the same manufacturer as the same sort of ride as Smiler, and until we know for sure what caused the accident on Tuesday, we think as a precaution we should not be operating SAW. And then, as I've already explained, at Chessington we just have 2 rides across our entire group, where the new heightened additional layer of safety protocols that we want to put in cannot be instantly implemented. There needs to be technical and training upgrades, and You know, although it would have been very easy for us not to mention that and just get on with it.
No, it wouldn't.
We hope we're doing the right thing.
Trust me, sir, it wouldn't have been easy for you to do that. Everybody is particularly focused on what you're up to at Merlin just at the moment. And you say technical and training needs to be upgraded. That would suggest that it wasn't good enough before.
Well, that is not the case, and as I keep on saying...
Well, people were seriously injured, and suggestions that someone's lost a limb as a result of what happened at Alton Towers. Has somebody lost a limb on that ride?
Look, I'm not going to comment on any of those speculations. All I can tell you is that we are deeply sorry for the accident that happened.
Sir, I'm sure they're not interested in your sympathy at this stage. They went to have a fantastic day and they have potentially lost a limb. You won't tell us if they have or not. But certainly from what you're saying... With all due respect, to be telling you stuff like that, that is absolutely personal information to those individuals and their families. And for me to sit here... I'm sure, sir, that they're more appalled at the fact that the safety measures weren't adequate.
Well, look, they clearly weren't adequate on Smiler because the accident happened. We have taken steps to upgrade our safety standards from what were already very rigorous, very stringent safety standards across the group. And I want to be able to look everybody in the eye and promise them when they come to our parks and get on our rides that they are safe.
If you're improving your safety standards, they weren't good enough before. If they were good enough before, 4 youngsters would not have been in a position where they've spent 5 hours having to be cut out of that ride.
Look, we really don't know all of the facts behind the accident on Tuesday. We want to find them out. As I said, it's been a harrowing experience for everybody, and we need to make sure we know what happens so that it never happens again. But I come back and say we do have safety as our #1 priority. We do have very stringent ride safety protocols. We have, over many, many years, operated these parks safely for hundreds of millions of people. And all we have done today is taken an extra level on top of those already stringent safety measures to just make sure that every base is covered. 2 rides that are not able to step up to that new higher level today will do so in the next few days, but only when we are happy.
Okay, so people were going on rides that were not safe enough.
No, that's not true. And you keep on saying that, but actually...
Yeah, I do, because that's what you're saying. You're saying that your safety measures were not stringent enough, and so you've increased them further. These 2 rides are not up to those stringent safety measures, so they're not open at the moment. So the deduction from that
you're
is...
misrepresenting
Okay, no, I'm not. In what way am I misrepresenting what you're saying?
Look, I am saying to you that we have operated these rides for many years very safely, that we take safety extremely seriously. We have very stringent safety controls, and I think that it is shown by the fact that we haven't had an accident like this before. But I'm not going to make excuses. We have had an accident. It's been a terrible accident, and we have to make sure that we do the right thing. But all that we've been announcing today is that we've put on top of already stringent ride safety protocols another layer, even more stringent.
Yeah, well, obviously those protocols were not good enough, otherwise we wouldn't have seen the accident that we have seen. Have you met up with those that have been injured yet?
We have established contact with those people.
No, you personally, sir, have you met them?
I have spoken to the families that were willing to speak to me.
Have you met the people that were injured?
Well, they're in hospital, aren't they? And
I'm aware of that.
We have met the people that were injured.
Have you met up with the people that have been injured, sir?
We have met the people that have been injured, and I have spoken to the families of the ones that were most severely injured. I should say the ones that wanted to speak to us. There is one of them that we've been unable to establish contact with.
Okay. But just to clarify, you are saying that you are content with the safety measures that were in place previously, even though 4 people were seriously injured. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that something went badly wrong on the Smiler on Tuesday, and we don't yet know all the reasons for it, but it is our responsibility. I'm not making any excuses. We need to understand what caused that. But when we look at our overall record and we look at our overall policies and procedures and safety mechanisms across our parks, which we've operated for many years, I think they are very stringent and I think they are top range. But what we've just tried to do today is put yet another layer on top of that.
And some of the rides that hundreds of thousands of people have been using for many, many years do not live up to those expectations of health and safety. So the only way you can interpret that is that they weren't safe enough before.
That's not true, as I keep on saying.
And I keep making the point because you say that another level of safety has put in place because you don't think those rides were safe enough. Quite obviously, because people have been massively injured.
You are putting words in my mouth that I haven't said, and you know this is
a
really serious issue.
You're not wrong there, sir. So 4 people were seriously injured, a report suggesting that one of them lost a leg, and you are content with the safety levels that were in place.
I'm not saying content is the word. I'm saying that we had very good, rigorous ride safety standards across these multi-car roller coasters. We have reviewed them, and what we have done is just put another layer in place on top of what were already very stringent standards. What happened with the Smiler roller coaster on Tuesday, I think, has got a unique set of events linked to it, but we will not know for sure until we get the final reports, and we do not know the answer to that. But I am not sitting here shirking responsibility for what happened. It's something that we deeply regret. We apologise to everybody affected, and we will do absolutely everything in our power to try and put right, as much as we can, what has gone wrong.
OK. I don't understand why you're putting another safety level in if safety was of paramount importance and it was satisfactory before. Why are you putting another safety level in?
Basically, what we had in before was several layers of safety precautions on these rides. You know, and all we are doing now is putting yet another layer on top of that.
But why?
As far as I'm concerned.
Why, sir?
Why?
Yeah.
Because we've had a major accident, and despite running these businesses for decades without having a major accident like this, it has happened. It's not something that we can avoid or run away from. So despite the fact that over those many, many years and hundreds of millions of rides, people have had safe visits to our parks, we clearly need to just look and say, well, what more can we do? What more can we put on top here, on top of already very stringent protocols? And you know, we don't yet know what caused that accident on Tuesday.
OK, but that ride is being dismantled as we speak, just to clarify on that. Let me bring in Richard Suchet, who's been monitoring events for us, our reporter who's on the set. Richard.
Mr Varney, Richard Suchet here, Sky News reporter. The very first thing you told us was that you don't have a definitive conclusion as to what happened, but it looks like an unusual set of circumstances. So I'm wondering if you could help us translate what ride safety protocols actually means. Do you think this was human error or mechanical error? You seem to know what has happened.
No, we don't. We don't have all of the facts at this moment in time. And as I said, the investigation is being led by the Health and Safety Executive. You know, what I do know is what I've just said, which is we suspect that there were a number of individual and unique circumstances that have contributed to this, but because it is the subject of a health and safety investigation, I really can't go into any more detail at this point.
Well, Mr Varney, it sounds like you know exactly what's happened, and you've already managed to you've already implemented changes, so you must know what's happened.
No, I promise you I do not know exactly what's happened. We do not yet have all the facts. What we have done today is just taken an extra precaution in order to make sure, doubly sure, that our already stringent protocols are even more so.
Just while we've got you, what should people do if they were thinking of coming to some of your attractions at the weekend?
Well, they should visit. I mean, obviously, we are hoping to reopen Alton Towers in the next couple of days. And what I am really very keen to emphasise, here, is that I promise anybody watching this, anybody coming to our parks, that we would not open these parks and we would not operate these rides if we thought they were unsafe.
Thank you for joining us on Sky News this afternoon.
Thank you.